Hey, it's Michael Viewmaster Morlan standing right outside the soundstage where we're shooting the very first episode of Galactic Inquiry. Hey, we're really excited. We've got 2 interviews today. Wow, that's going to be amazing. We've got Wes Bell with The Whole Truth sharing some Star Citizen news, and we've got fan websites and art and more. Stay tuned right after this. Hey, Michael Viewmaster Morlan here, and welcome to... Whoa, looks like we're still a work in progress. Okay, welcome to Galactic Inquiry. We'll get that fixed in a little bit, okay? Hey, I want to start out by thanking a lot of people who have helped us get to this point thus far. Without you, well, we'd probably be dead by now. First, I'd like to thank a couple people who have put us on their shows. Joe Marino, a.k.a. GeekDomo, and his show Starcast, which streams on Twitch TV. Thank you so much for having me on. I had a great time talking with you guys. And Tony Hunter with the Guard Frequency and that crew. Thank you so much for having Carla and me on. We had a chance to talk with you guys, talk about Star Citizen, and a chance to talk about this show. So thanks so much, guys. Also, Glenn Martin, thanks for the logistical support, helping us put this show together, helping us get a place to shoot. Thanks so much for your time and effort. And finally, a big shout out to Aslan. Aslan has been helping us build our website way beyond the little single page we've set up so far. It's so responsive. You can watch it on mobiles. It's going to have a forum. It's going to have all kinds of blog and everything. And I certainly couldn't have done that. And he is our webmaster du jour. And if that weren't enough, he's stepping up as our first community manager. So look for him on our forums. We'll talk more about that in a little while. And we look forward to having Aslan and everybody as part of our community. Thank you so much. Finally, the most important people to thank you for everybody who supported the show thus far. Patreon supporters, you've been amazing. Thank you for the faith that you've placed in us before we even got our first show out. It's so much appreciated. And it's one thing that's really, truly made this possible. To tell you a little bit about the Galactic Inquiry, if you haven't had a chance to kind of find out what we're doing so far, we're here to feature you, the stars of Star Citizen. And we're going to be showing off some aerospace news, some real aerospace news. We're going to be showing off some comedy. We'll be sharing your interviews and your work, whether you've done a nice painting or a drawing, or you've got a great story that you've told that we can maybe put into a radio drama. Of course, your videos, we all know that's great stuff to see. Websites, whatever you've got out there, we're going to enjoy having a moment to put that on camera and show it to the community. You know, here at Galactic Inquiry, we believe that the game is about the community and that it's about what we're doing right here. So thank you so much. There are a lot of people who have been in support of this, and they wanted to share what they were thinking about that. Check that out.
This is Legante, and I approve this message.
This is Tony from Guard Frequency, and I approve this message.
Star Citizen FM has flourished as an independent news broadcaster. Yet everyone needs a place to call home. A home base, a central hub. Enter Galactic Inquiry. SCFM brings you up to speed on the news. Galactic Inquiry updates you on the verse. My name is Dr. Hawk, and I proudly support Galactic Inquiry.
Thanks everybody for that support, much appreciated. Hey, and now, here's the news. At Galactic Inquiry, we love the world of real aerospace exploration, discovery, and commerce. So each week, we're going to feature a real story and how it influences and affects the world of Star Citizen. And to improve our broadcast for the English-impaired super geek, we've added binary sign language to some of our newscasts. So, in our first story, while Richard Branson's SpaceX is grabbing many of the headlines, the Arizona-based company Worldview...
Hi. I'm sorry, Michael. We're having a live feed glitch here.
Okay, wait a second. All right. Of course. Waiting for that. Carla? What's going on here?
What is he doing? I don't know binary, do you?
No,
You know what I'm saying?
okay. Okay, well, moving on. Wes Bell joins us from his YouTube channel, The Whole Truth, to share some of the hard-biting news from the world of Star Citizen. This week, he brings us a story from the forums about ship defenses. Wes?
Thanks, Michael. We've known for a while basically how shields are going to work, but we haven't heard much about armor customization yet. One of the devs on the forum, Restitutor Orbis, shed a little light on the subject of armor. Armor will have a lot of different specs, including things like kinetic energy resistance, high explosive resistances, and so on. Some armor will even change the geometry of your ship, and with that comes changes to the weight distribution of the ship and how it flies. As we get more information about the intricacies of the ships and the detail involved in customization, Star Citizen starts to look like a lot more of a thinking man's game than people may realize with just the limited access to Arena Commander we have now. Keep in mind that Arena Commander is only a very small portion of what Star Citizen as a whole will be. Back to you, Mike.
Thanks, Wes. You can catch Wes's full news show on his YouTube channel, The Whole Truth. And returning to our previous story, next year, Sir Richard Branson's Virgin Galactic is expected to begin taking paying customers to space for around $250,000 a ticket. Now, that's a little rich for your wallet. Another company has a cheaper alternative.
We began working on Worldview in 2011, and we tested components of the system and subsystems at smaller scale leading up till now. But this was the first time that we'd sewn all of the different parts of a full flight together.
Worldview it's about giving people that incredible perspective of seeing the Earth that we live on as a globe in the blackness of space.
We have experts in the parafoil system, we have experts in the flight and balloon control system. The big advantage of a balloon is that it has so little energy.
Imagine getting into a capsule pre-dawn, start gently rising up.
Floating to the top of the atmosphere. We cruise for about an hour and a half at the flight. Got great views of our Earth in the blackness of space. Then we start to descend to a lower altitude where we then transition to essentially a big wing and fly down to a location that we want to be. The test flight was phenomenally successful. We got data at every part of the flight. We smashed records for altitude flight with a parafoil, came down to a perfect landing. It was recovered by the team. We were just thrilled with the results and the success of this test flight.
1 minute in Worldview's Voyager capsule will cost about $625. Compare that to Virgin Galactic's ride per minute of around $2,800. And that is your aerospace news. Galactic Inquiry's central mission is to share fan creations. And we're very pleased to share a couple of things we found on the internets this week. First up, if you didn't manage to buy that Aurora with lifetime insurance, well, there are some other options. For instance, check out this website for Aequitas Interstellar Risk. Now, they're providing risk mitigation for all your spacefaring needs. That's just amazing. You know, I just love the level of immersion the community is creating around Star Citizen. And I'm frequently stunned by the original works of art. I mean, the Star Citizen community is pretty amazing. For instance, take a look at this work by Inca Talmir. He recently shared a couple of new digital paintings from the verse. I particularly enjoy seeing how an artist arrives at their creation. Watch this work in progress renderings as he goes from his first kind of wash type of sketch and then starts building in the detail. That's just amazing. Hey, a big thanks to Michael Cunningham of Aequitas Interstellar Risk and to Inca Talmir. You are our first creators on Fan Frequency. Earlier this week, we had a chance to hang out and raise a glass with some citizens from the Austin area.
All right. Oh, this is exciting, man. I can't wait.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to meeting the fans.
Oh, cheers.
Yeah. All hail Star Citizen.
Star Citizen. Woohoo. Wow. So, hey, to the fans.
I don't remember getting an email for this.
Dan, you were supposed to send out the invitation.
No.
I never got an email.
No. Remember we talked. I was told you that you should be sending Dan.
Yes, and I said email Dan.
No.
I never got an email.
I'm drowning in email.
Well,
Wasn't me.
Maybe if you spent less time at the dog park.
We work at the dog park, okay? You tell everybody that we experiment on small animals, and now my mom thinks I don't have a real job anymore.
You're the community Leia's and guy anyway.
No, I'm the
Yeah.
star.
Yes, star.
Yeah, you're such
Yeah, fans. Ooh.
yeah, lots of fans.
See any fans around here? No.
Place is empty.
Well, maybe if we invited them now.
Okay.
Huh.
Announcing Austin's own Star Citizen meetup, Bar Citizen. we're going to get together.
Every day.
Some of us have jobs there, Space Puppet.
Write to us if you'd like to help us host the Austin Bar Citizen. And you should be doing a Bar Citizen in your town, too. Meanwhile, we're going to take a drink while you read the block of text below. All right, so clearly we need to work out some of the kinks. But hey, we are going to actually announce a real Bar Citizen in the coming weeks. And if you'd like to start a Bar Citizen in your own town, consider coordinating it on the Galactic Inquiry subreddit. And film it and send it in, and we might actually include it on the show. So earlier this week, one of Cloud Imperium's newest forum moderators visited the Austin office and managed to drop by our place to say hi. Here's an excerpt from that interview. Hi, I'm here with Carter Holland, a.k.a. Applecrow. Yep. And he's in Austin and had a chance to visit the office and came by to say hello to us, too. Hey, how you doing today?
Hey, it's great to be here.
So the big news for you right now is you're one of our newest moderators on the forums.
Yeah, I really didn't think I was doing much, but like every once in a while, Will would say, "Oh, hey, Applecrow, thanks for your help." And I'm like, "Okay." And then had Legante, actually, I talked to him on Skype every once in a while, and he started asking me these weird questions. I was like, I feel like I'm being interviewed to be a mod. And sure enough, like, you know, a couple hours later, Will sent me an email asking me to be a mod. And I told him, you know, let me think about it. I am kind of attached to my ignore function, but, you know, I decided to go ahead and do it because I mean, I love the community. And
the moderating can be a little bit of a challenge.
Yeah, I've already received several condolence messages. But I mean, for the most part, I am looking forward to it.
That's great. And so your tag color is going to change, and
yeah, I'll be in purple now.
Ooh, that's pretty cool. So you've been pretty active. You were in Boston this last.
Yeah. If anybody thinks that guy looks familiar, I was on the front row at the Boston reveal. I asked the only relevant question about when the Scythe would be released.
That's what everybody wants to know.
I mean, I'm not saying I don't want to collect fish.
You can watch the entire interview with Applecrow on our YouTube channel down here. There, you see that little link thingy right there. In a moment, Brian Kinshadow Murray is going to join us to talk about fandom and life as a programmer and a game fan. But first, this message from our sponsor. Crazy Hud Worthington here with the biggest news in the verse. I'm no longer in the sales business. I'm giving these ships away. I've gone mad. My wife will kill me. My children might starve, but I don't care, because the only thing I do care about is giving you the best deal of the millennium. If you get on down to Crazy Hud's right now, I assure you there will be no line, because no one knows about this sale but you. You'll get your pick of hundreds of spaceships in absolute perfect condition at out-of-this-world prices. We got freelancers. We got cutlasses. Did I say I've gone mad? He's gone mad. Well, I have. We got auroras. We got constellations. Check out this Origin 325A. It's only got 12 parsecs on the meter and cherry as the day it rolled off the line. Now you may well wonder how I can offer out-of-this-world prices on these gorgeous models. Well, the truth is, I stole them, and my steal is your deal. The UEE's been breathing down my neck. They can't figure out how I make a living here. Don't you worry, folks, because I live to put you in the pilot seat. So come on down to Crazy Hud's, and if you've got a spouse that sees reason, leave them at home, because they'll go blind. So hurry on down and chuck that hangar buggy, because I'm going to give you wings. And remember, don't tell my wife.
That's pretty incredible.
Yeah, so we had some good fun with that one.
Yeah. I like the fact that Mr. Hud there's a pirate too.
So Brian, welcome, man.
Hey,
Welcome
Mike.
to the show. It's good to have you on.
Yeah, it's great to be here.
Brian Kinshadow. Yeah, how you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I'm a little sad about Wingman's hangar.
Oh,
but,
well, we had a good run there. I thought we did a nice job.
Yeah.
Trying to carry on the tradition.
Yes, I'm looking forward to this a lot.
So you happen to be in Austin, so that's why we're having you on the show first.
Yeah. Just I'm a
no
local
other
guy.
real reason, but
yeah. Well, you got to get what you can get, right?
Right. So there's a big tech sector in Austin. What do you do? Well, outside of being a game aficionado.
Oh, I make all my money off fan videos. No, and I'm a hardware architect for a chip company that you can probably look me up on LinkedIn, but I will fail to mention here.
So what does that mean? Hardware? What do you do?
I do computer chips. I make high-level design. I do mostly graphics hardware integration and things like that into system on chips.
So you do graphics, CPU, GPUs? Stuff like that?
GPUs, yeah. GPU hardware.
For what kind of devices?
Mostly mobile devices, cell phones and tablets. And
so we're not going to be running Star Citizen on any of your inventions?
Not right now. maybe in the future.
So you've done some other things, interestingly. Where did you go to college?
I went to Texas A&M.
Okay. So how'd you get there? How'd you end up studying?
Back in the early days, I got really interested in space video games of a remarkable note, and wanted to be an astronaut. And so when I went to apply for college, I originally put aerospace engineering, and I'll get into that. And it turns out that at least back when I was applying in the mid-90s, there wasn't a whole lot of money in aerospace engineering or being an astronaut. So I picked
there's no money in the public sector. I don't care whether you're flying yourself into the moon or not.
So I picked the next best thing, and that happened to be computers. So I did computer engineering.
Right.
At Texas A&M, I think I mentioned that right.
Yeah. Well, you did some other things while you were there. Some blacksmithing?
Yeah, I was an apprentice blacksmith for 3 or 4 years, and did some cool weapons and armor and things like that, and that was a lot of fun.
Right. So how did you you kind of got you played Wing Commander, you said, and
yeah.
What other kind of games from that genre have you played?
So all the Chris Roberts games I think are of note, and obviously Richard Garriott's games, and a lot of those were pretty much my bread and butter, aside from the I guess early ages was consoles, but at some point I was like, I really got into the PC games.
Right.
Got a Wing Commander and CD-ROM, that kind of got me launched into that, and also got into BBSs. I ran a BBS for a while.
What was the BBS?
I think it was Utopia Shipyards, and it was a sci-fi themed Star Trek BBS, and had lots of door games, is what we called in the day. And
so for those too young to know what a BBS is, why don't you fill us in?
This is the consumer internet before the internet was a thing, where you dialed people on landlines.
What is this dialed thing?
With the phones, with the modem, you put the modem in the phone, and anyway.
I know nothing about that.
All you old schoolers out there will appreciate. So anyway, yeah, it was basically a website of the early '90s, to use an analogy of today, and we had I had message boards and video games and things like that. And there's a whole bunch of them, and especially in Houston where I grew up, and I was one among many. But it was a lot of fun, and I really enjoyed those days.
So you also played Ultima Online?
Yeah.
How did you get into that? What was your experience?
I got kind of I guess that was my first real experience as a super fan of a game. I didn't really do fan videos or anything like that, but I definitely. I did what I felt was extreme at the time, which was join a guild and things like that. That was the first game where I really, before the game came out, I was like, oh wow, what can be possible in this game, and what can we do? And in some ways in Ultima it was a little less than I imagined, but in some ways it was more. I don't think even the designer's Origin quite thought about all the things that people ended up doing in that game.
Well, I worked on Ultima Online peripherally,
right.
As an artist and art director at times. But I watched the mechanics evolved over time, and they were kind of figuring it out as they went along. I mean, that was part of the challenge of a dynamic system like that, the economy and the social aspects. They'd add a new system, and suddenly it'd be getting exploited in ways you didn't expect. And I think you did some of that too.
Oh
yourself.
yeah, I was sure. Yeah, that's part of the fun. I mean, like the whole. I mean, when they introduced, they had the housing system, right? But the way that people use the housing system and the weird meta game, and they would add features.
Oh, wait a minute. They were trying to balance the economy with the houses, right?
They did. Well, they had a limited amount of land space, right?
Of course, that always helps.
And so originally they put the houses in, and it was all sorts of fun exploits and meta games around just the houses and house keys and getting into houses and things like that.
So speaking of the houses, they used to, as they were balancing the economy, they started doing this kind of mechanism where they would decay.
Oh yeah. So there was only a limited amount of area, and so they had to figure out some way to allow people to have other houses in Ultima Online, and so they would have decay states. And
so what would cause them to decay? What was the condition?
It was over time, and
whether you owned them, whether you lived in them, they would decay no matter what.
It would decay no matter what, and you had to open the front door to refresh them. I remember, right? And you could see the decay state on the sign, and there was people who had reverse engineered what the delays are between the different names it would put for the decayed states in the sign. So if you were in the know, you could kind of figure out when the house was going to fall down if people didn't refresh it. And so once it got past a certain state, the odds of somebody refreshing it are slimmer. And so there were a lot of people on the Ultima markets that were very into kind of jumping on these houses and these slots when they fell down. And I was one of these people for a good bit, so I would study in college and check refresh states on houses every once in a while I was studying, and it was a lot of fun. And so a whole bunch of people would try and gather around these houses right before they fell and try and place a house there. Or try and grab the goodies that fell out of the house.
That's the classic gold rush.
Yes, yeah.
Usually around a corpse, but this time it's the corpse of a house.
Oh yeah, and I got really good at it, and I placed an innumerable number of houses and sold them on the uauction.com,
right.
which was
that's right,
because there was no in-game auction, and it was all for in-game money. Right. It wasn't for
well,
cash.
That was so unanticipated. People were actually selling UO assets on eBay.
Right.
They build up a character and sell it for $1,000. And they were actually creating real money from their labors inside the world, killing rabbits and chopping wood. So you've never guilty of a good deed, are you? You've never.
Well, these weren't necessarily bad deeds. Maybe some gray market. It was in-game money, and they weren't using the house anymore, obviously. But yeah, I like to stay on the seedier side to a degree.
You were kind of playing a rather dark kind of role there. You tell me a little bit about that. You were kind of going to the darker side of role playing. Yeah,
so I think starting in Privateer, you could, at least in space games, you saw there were some darker elements in the game, and you could kind of, I think, get some familiarity with the pirates. It's been a while since I played, but there wasn't really a lot of gameplay there, right?
Right. Well, it's so hard just to get the main game up, the light side, much less trying to build an entire dark
Absolutely.
side.
I completely agree, and but doesn't make not want those kinds of things, right? I always kind of like the gritty edge of the game, and of role playing.
So did you find that sandbox play like Ultima Online lent itself better to that side?
I mean, Ultima Online really had no it had no constraints on that. I think to the developer's chagrin in some ways, right? And so which led to all sorts of interesting solutions.
From my perspective, there was a seismic shift from telling stories as developers to just creating this place where the players tell the stories.
Right.
And that was a huge shift in the entire industry at that time.
Yeah, and I think, whenever you give a lot of people the ability to tell their own stories, some people are going to tell stories that are not the same as other people's stories, and not the ones that necessarily that other people want to see, right? And, I think it's not necessarily all about PvP. I mean, Ultima Online had their own problems there, but I think, especially myself, like to see a darker element to the thing where we can inject ourselves. And I play all sides of it too, so not always a bad guy, but it's nice to have that freedom, and nice to have that color in the world, I guess.
So we're looking forward to the Persistent Universe and Star Citizen. Tell me, do you have any hopes there?
Oh yeah, well, I mean, along the same lines, I want to see these darker elements be first-class citizens, so to say, in the universe.
In their own first class, outside the UE.
Yeah, not citizens, right? The ability to have a rich story in that kind of environment. The idea that they're of Spider and Pyro, and there's several systems out there that are lawless, that in theory players will interact with. I think that gets me really excited, and I'd like to see stories there that the players can tell, and storylines that the players can be involved in.
Sure. So my first experience with you was with your character, Kinshadow. Mm-hmm. So where did Kinshadow come from? What was the source of that?
So the name comes from well before this. It's short for Kindred of Shadow, which is assassin thing or whatever. And so that's where my handle originally came from. But the character itself, when Legante first started sending in videos to Wingman's Hangar, I saw it and I thought, wow, that's that guy is really good at CG. That's some of the best CG.
You thought that was CG?
I thought it was CG, and I'm
well,
like...
he did such... Yeah,
well, he had that nice grain effect on his videos, and I'm like... Because all the other videos people were sending at the time were CG.
Right, and they were very clean versus his kind of layer of grunge. And you thought,
I'm like, that guy's...
That's how he's hiding the CG.
That's awesome, you know? And then he sent in his second video, and I'm like, oh my God, that's not CG. That's a dude in a costume. And I'm like, that's... And also at the time, you know, I was getting into the whole, I was getting into Star Citizen. I was trying to promote piracy to a degree because I didn't, just like my expression on Privateer, I wanted piracy and the darker elements to be bigger parts. And so I had started a pirate blog, dreadcitizen.com.
Dreadcitizen.com, okay.
And
we'll put it down here right here.
And I wrote some short stories, and I was getting into it, but I hadn't really found my niche, you know, what I wanted to really do as far as that goes. And I'm like, you know, I had some costume stuff in my closet, you know, and I really had some questions that were legitimate, I felt, about the pirate elements. So I'm like, well, you know, Legante's doing some cool stuff, you know, I could probably do something like that too. So I threw together a video. And, you know, kind of at the end, I'm like, you know, I need a stick, you know, I need something, you know, my character is going to do, you know. I figure, well, maybe I'll hunt people each episode, you know, and I'll pick members of the community and highlight other people and stuff. And so Legante was the only other guy, really, that had the name. So I'm like, okay, I'll hunt Legante this time, right? And so I threw it together. And afterwards, I ended up Skyping Legante. And we started just figuring out some collaborative stuff. And it kind of just went from there. And we go... put together maybe a backstory for the characters, and I guess my original vision was kind of taken off on a tangent, but it was, I like where it went. It's really interesting.
Well, you know, I pitched this idea to you over lunch, and I'd really love to see you guys pick up a whole spy versus spy. You said coyote versus roadrunner sort of thing, and just kind of create this kind of constant conflict, because that was so much fun, especially when we did the 24-hour live stream, and we actually shot these 3 little vignettes leading up to the council live between the two of you, which of course devolved into violence. But
so I really like shooting videos like that. My kids help me out in my videos. I've got 4 kids.
Well, I haven't seen your kids. Did you do a video with them, like B-Man and the B-Girls?
Well, I had not all of them, but I have them featured in like at least one of my videos.
Okay, which one is that? I haven't seen that one.
It's a video with like a little Lego story in it and stuff like that. It's me fighting Legante as a Lego
All right,
people.
Hold that right there. Let's just show that one.
All right.
All right, we're going to show that one right here.
It is I, Legante. Today looks like a beautiful day to carry out my dastardly plan of carpet bombing this entire planet with expired coupons. Good thing I have my dun-dun-dun janky Aurora with all sorts of coupon attachments and cool coupon-based laser beams. Legante! Dun, dun, dun. It is I, Kinshadow. I will stop you from your dastardly plan to bring this planet into financial woes. No! Oh, you can't stop me, Kinshadow. And I will use my super kitted out Vandal Scythe. All sorts of cool, unique add-ons. And it's a Vandal Scythe, never a Sith. Get it right, people. Fire pirate boarding missile! Away! Yar, I got him, Captain. Now I'll disable his engines. Ah! Oh no! I've been boarded! Firing furry defensive in countermeasure. Yeah. Oh, zag. Oh. Oh no, Oh no, Pirate Bill! Alright, fire sword missile. Oh no, Kinshadow, you got me! Legante, I've finally got you within my grasp. Now, you will die.
Sir!
What?
You need inside!
What did you see?
I did not see you playing with your Legos, sir!
Good! Now go back inside and don't tell your mother.
So, is that your son in the background there?
Yeah, that's Cohen.
Okay.
And my daughter Kearney was holding the camera. So.
All right. Well, we need more families creating videos for the show because those are always amazing.
You can also see my kids in my photo submission for the photo contest they had a while back too.
Okay.
And so you know, if you're interested in seeing my children, they're there.
So you're part of a group called Star Citizen Motley Collaborators. Tell me a little bit about that.
So it is a group of video makers, many of whom have submitted things to Wingman's Hangar, and some of whom have ongoing shows of their own. So people like the Colonial Movers and Batgirl and
Dr. Hawk.
Dr. Hawk and Jazz Arrow and Zombie and there's a couple people like Parias and other ones that kind of also, and Matt Fosa does the music.
Yeah, Matt does a great job at that.
And so I'm probably missing somebody because there's a lot of people and I'm sorry. But there's oh, and obviously Legante and myself.
Who was that? Oh, yeah.
Legante. Oh, yeah, who's that? And we've put together a couple of things. Like I've done things with the movers. And
so what's your mission? What do you guys? What's your goal?
So the first full video we've done is called Saving Citizens, and it is about I guess the general synopsis is Jazz Arrow gets a disease. It's one of the fictional ones in the universe, and the movers and Batgirl kind of team up to try and get a cure for him, and they are. I am the bad guy.
What? Really?
Yeah. And Legante's a shining knight, sort of. And we all kind of, it's a story about citizens trying to help other citizens.
Right.
And it all kind of dovetails at the end to a charity that we mention at the end for a particular citizen whose wife is sick. It's Roush's.
Right.
And so if you want to, you can see that at savingcitizens.com.
Excellent.
And the link to the charity is also there if you're kind enough to donate.
Well, I love that that connection between the virtual community, the virtual world, and doing something in the real world. That's an amazing.
Yeah,
choice.
it felt good making the video, you know, and it was a lot of fun at the same time. So. You know, I'd like to do more of that going forward too. And so we've got other things that are non-charity also in the works, and we're trying to think of new scripts and longer videos and things like that.
So I look forward to seeing the collaborators on the show sometime. That's some great storytelling, and I love what they're doing with the real world too as a charity. That's amazing.
Yeah, it has a lot of fun too.
Yeah, and look forward to seeing you.
Oh yeah, thank you for doing this great show.
Absolutely. Apparently, sometimes you do perform a good deed.
Don't let that get around.
Absolutely. Brian Kinshadow Murray, thanks a lot, man. You know, Galactic Inquiry lives and dies on the beliefs of the backers, so please join us on Patreon and become a patron today. Enjoy the benefits of a show that is by and for the fans. And for those who are in Europe that have expressed a concern about a monthly charge, which is what Patreon does, there's some pretty hefty bake fees associated with that with some countries. If you like, you can instead join us by doing a big one-off pledge by writing us at pledge@galacticinquiry.com. The $2,000 patron goal, we talked about that a little bit earlier, and we have yet to announce it. Well, we're a little bit stumped. If you've got an idea about what we could do with that $2,000 patron goal, well, write us at sayhello@galacticinquiry.com. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Keep in touch with what we're putting up on the YouTube channel. And keep in touch through your favorite social portal. Links to that all our Galactic Inquiry sites can be found on our webpage right there at home, so you can check that out. Coming up next week, Kelly Nova of the Weird Girls YouTube channel and her husband Reese will be on the show talking about women in gaming and Comic-Con cosplay. So looking forward to that. And our very own organization. Some people have asked, some people have wanted us to create our own organization, so we've done it. You've asked, we've done it. Look for Galactic Inquisition. That's right. No one expects the Galactic Inquisition. We're going to be promoting safety through conformity. You know this show belongs to you, the Star Citizen community, so send us your feedback and suggestions on our new Galactic Inquiry subreddit. We'd love to hear from you. And the heart of the show are the fan creations. If you've got something cool to share, send it in, and if it doesn't suck, we'll put it on the show. Your punishment, if you don't, might be sock puppets. And remember, we're listening.